Welcome to MMA Fancast. My name's Luke Payson, and I am honored to be joined by the number 5 ranked amateur heavyweight, according to Tapology, out of 120 in Northeast of the United States, out of 120 amateur heavyweight fighters, Julian Flenory. Julian, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, my man, Luke. I appreciate it.
I could have given a much longer intro as well because you've had 2 incredible knockouts in the year of 2020, and you also have a title fight coming up March 18th, so just a couple weeks away. An amateur title fight. You're currently 4-0, so well-deserved to have an amateur title fight. Let's pause on that for a second and just you give me your highlight or your favorite moment from the year of 2022, particularly fight related, and then we'll just get into what's coming up in a couple weeks for you.
I'm definitely going to say that my favorite memory would have been my most recent fight on the Johnstown card. It was an awesome night. I mean, it was 9 seconds. It was an opponent of a higher caliber than the previous one, and it was also the main event. So that was really cool to be able to, experience that. And it really was able to allow me to open up some eyes with that performance. So that was definitely my favorite moment of the past year.
That makes perfect sense. It was also a 9-second knockout, and all the things that you said make it really exciting. All 4 of your MMA wins, your first win was all the way back in 2017, have all been by knockout. And I remember what stood out to me, having interviewed you about the knockout you had against Sheldon back in May. I remember you saying, even after that great knockout, that you still very much consider yourself a grappler, a BJJ. I believe you were purple belt last time I had you on the show, and you have since done some just BJJ matches. So how are you doing as far as BJJ goes? What were your individual matches like for that? Because I believe you did some like BJJ kind of super matches, and kind of talk about that, even though all 4 of your MMA fights have all been by knockout, and the last 3 combined is still under a minute, which is crazy. You have a 34-second knockout, a 16-second knockout, a 9-second knockout for your last 3. But let's talk a little bit about BJJ.
Yeah, I mean, that's my favorite, to practice. I really love the art of jiu-jitsu and, just showing up on a daily basis and working my skills and getting better. I recently had some matches for Lou Armazzani's team duel matches, and those are pretty good. I won my first match, and then our team got all the way to the championship, and we faced some high-level guys, came in second place. That was all the straight jiu-jitsu that I've done as of recently, but I've been training it a lot and really working myself in both advantageous and disadvantageous positions, and just doing the Mat Factory special, which is wall clinch work, setting up your shots and then your takedowns, and then having that heavy top pressure to then allow jiu-jitsu, because I'm more of a top pressure guy. So I like to be able to use my wrestling to open up any submissions that I could find, and whether it's a match or a fight, and really use that Mat Factory wrestling style of just being able to control where the fight is at, if I want it to go to the ground or if I want to keep it up on the feet, and then be able to utilize my tools and what I'm best at with chokes and limb tacks once I get to the ground.
That makes a lot of sense. You have a very cerebral mindset, which I think is very important. Big heavyweights that knock people out in under a minute repeatedly sometimes get a bad rap for not really thinking, but you're a great thinker. The Mat Factory guys, your head coach at Mat Factory, Isaac Reilly, is in the 247 Hall of Fame because he's a legendary competitor, I guess. Yeah, competitor is the word. He's a legendary competitor, as BJJ, recently winning a really incredible belt down in Texas, but he's also probably even better known as a coach. Your really quick short fights were over so quick, and you really haven't been able to use ground and pound because it's mainly been on your feet, which again has been wonderful. With the top pressure and being a BJJ guy and wanting to control where the fight goes, for this title fight for the heavyweight belt for live cage fights, live MMA cage fights down at the Marriott in Morgantown March 18th. How much are you looking forward to potentially using some ground and pound in that top position?
I definitely look forward to it. I mean, that's always something that I look to try to establish in a fight. Obviously, I've been very fortunate that I've had quick results while they're on the feet. But once I get a guy backed up to the cage, I'd love to be able to get underneath him, whether that's, a single, high crotch, double leg, whatever it is I got to do to get the guy to the mat, and then really use controlling positions, heavy on the hips, grabbing wrist, and just being real heavy on him. It's very fatiguing to grapple at higher levels, whether that's strictly grappling or even in the cage. Your adrenaline's pumping. It's not the same as in a
Mm.
training room. So for get, I look forward to being able to control him, get on top of him, really ride him out, and fatigue him before I rain down some ground and pound punches and stuff like that.
I mean, that sounds like the perfect recipe game plan wise, because you're a big, strong, powerful heavyweight, obviously with all your knockouts, but it's also cool when you see like a well-rounded game plan. The Mat Factory, all your coaches, Chris Dempsey, who competed at, I believe, 205 in the UFC, but he's definitely a heavyweight these days. You're not just a puncher that needs to finish in the first 30 seconds. So I think it's incredible. This is kind of a fun question. I know I've heard the Mat Factory practices, like you pointed out, they're legendary, right? They're grueling, they're technical, they're some of the best. A lot of cross training, a lot of fighters come and go. Some very high level fighters drop in and train. Has there ever been a time in the last 3 fights where it was over in 30 some seconds, 19 seconds, and 9 seconds, where you were kind of like, man, I put a lot of work in for 10 seconds or 30 seconds? Like, is there ever a time where you want an MMA fight to kind of develop so that you can use more of your skills and tools?
I think that's both a yes and a no.
Yeah.
I would say that yes, because I do want to be able to show off a more diverse skill set. I know that for both fans and both, analysts, people who want to watch and kind of like, uh, judge what they see from me, they want to be able to see, like, can he kick? Can he grapple? What can he do? What can't he do? Is he fatigue over time? And also, as a competitor for myself, I want to see that as well. But also, no, because to be able to,
Yeah.
if I want to make it to the highest parts of the sport and to be able to do some of that, I have to be able to, show what I can do, get these early finishes, whether it's striking or I get it to the mat and it's early submission or ground and pound. I think that I'm very fortunate and I'm blessed to be able to get these fast wins. But I also know that the work's not going anywhere. Me putting in a bunch of work for a short
Mhm.
fight, it's not going anywhere. It's going to roll over to the next fight, and it allows me to be healthy and allow me to prepare for the next one. And for my past 2 fights, I mean, the next Sunday, I'm fighting Saturday night. The next Sunday, I'm back in the training room. So it allows me to really get back to it. I mean, if you're
Mm.
going through a war, there's a lot of guys that only train, 3 to 6 weeks before their fight, and sometimes take off a lot of time in between fights. They might take off a month, 6 weeks or so, and just kind of like relax their body. I'm training, every other day, every day, the entire year. So it's like when I get those fast wins like that, it really, I mean, it allows me to keep building on what I have.
Sure. And I appreciate such a great detailed yes and no answer, because the way I asked the question, obviously, it gave you an opportunity to respond. So I'm grateful you did that. And yeah, I mean, if you keep knocking people out in under a minute, that's not a bad thing. It is kind of part of the analyst side, like you said, that there's always that question. I remember Shane Carwin, and of course, he's still a legend. He almost had a side triangle choke and a knockout against Brock Lesnar. But he was a guy that was knocking everybody out his entire pro career in under a round. And obviously it worked really well. So there's really no downside of finishing fights very quickly. I also like you said, and that's a very good thing for any amateur up and coming fighter listening to this. And you're right, like there's no such thing as wasted training. And I agree with you. Sometimes as a former coach, we would work something and train something, and then they never use it in the fight, like you're saying, like you never got to use this type of skill or that type of technique. But it's not wasted training, because at some point it's going to build up on you. And so obviously, to your point as well, very quick fights with no damage means that you could continue to train. So let's get to the fact that this is a title fight. How much does it mean for you? Obviously, you're top 10 ranked, you're number 5 ranked by Tapology out of over 150 amateur currently ranked heavyweight fighters out of, like, I think that's 9 or 10 states. So you're up there as far as your skill level because of the 4 knockouts. But how much does it mean that this is a title fight? And then let's get to a prediction. And if you don't want to give a prediction to title fight, let's get to kind of what you're most looking forward to in this fight here, just really 2 weeks out.
A title fight to me, it's it would be an explanation point on my amateur career. It would really be a way to show that I had a dominant career and be able to ride off to like the pros kind of on a high note and be able to keep that momentum rolling. Belts are always dope. It's more meaningful than a normal fight. There's more on the line. You get that belt as well. So you actually get some type of, tangible trophy to like remember that moment. And it puts you on the map, if you can show that like you faced good competition, which this is a good competitor that I'm going against. And it shows that if I can get this done, then I am ready for that next level. And I'm ready to face like those higher ranked guys in the region at the pro level. And as far as a prediction on the fight or what I look forward to, I mean, I go in there with every intent of getting it done fast, whether that's an opening and I slip a punch and that's grappling and I get to his back, flatten him out, ground and pound in 30 seconds, or that's a strangulation in 30 seconds, or it's a knockout in under 20. I want to go in there and get it done as fast as possible. It might take me the whole 3 rounds, and I might have to win each exchange and round by round get a rolling decision. I'm willing to do whatever it takes if I have to go to that 9-minute war, 3-minute rounds. I'm ready to do whatever it takes to get the dub. I'm gonna come out and I'm gonna get after him like I get after everyone else. I'm gonna have pressure in his face. He likes to stay on his back foot and he likes to jab. So I'm already gonna go towards him. I don't see his striking being better than mine, and I see some flaws in his grappling and ways that he likes to shell up off of different ways that he gets taken down. I look to exploit different areas of weaknesses in his game, both from stand up to clinch to grappling that me and my coaches have seen in film. I'm ready for wherever the fight goes, and whatever wrinkle he adds, I can go to a game plan A, B, or C on different ways I know that I can attack him with my strengths based on his weaknesses. So I look to get it done as fast as possible. If I can get it done in 8 seconds and beat my last fight, that's what I want to do. If it takes me to the 2nd or 3rd round, or if it takes me even a couple minutes into the first, whatever I got to do to get it done, I plan to put the pressure on him out the gate.
Well, that's why I love having you on the show. It's great that you're having this opportunity. All that made perfect sense to me. It is nice that you get this heavyweight title. Like you said, when you win, you get a physical trophy that'll always kind of mark that. And you also kind of check off and go through. I was going to ask if you've done any tape watching or studying your opponent. You obviously have, which I think there's always that balance there, which sounds great, right? You know what you want to do. You see a couple weaknesses or tendencies in his, and then you'll make it work when you're in there. It's always incredible having you on the show. I can't wait to have you back on as a champ. You'll have to have the belt over your shoulder the next time you're back on. Yeah, there you go. So I appreciate you coming. I appreciate you coming on the show. You're going to be representing the Mat Factory, and you really are one of the amateur, like you mentioned, soon to be pro fighters to watch. So I'm excited for you. I'm thrilled that you're at this opportunity that you have. So thanks so much, Julian Flenory, for coming on the show to talk about your upcoming March 18th. I'm sure people can still buy tickets from you. Morgantown's close. The drive from Pittsburgh down to Morgantown. I hope you have a lot of hometown crowd, and that it's very much a Julian Flenory crowd for you. It's been great having you back on the show.
Thank you, Luke. I appreciate the opportunity.
I appreciate you, pal. Best skills to you. Can't wait to see you bring home the belt. Talk to you later.
My man.
All right.